Thursday, August 29th, the guest hosts continue today. For the first time ever, I get to do a show with Ben Hadley talking about Tesla, Gen Z, and the most disappointing national park. I feel like this is a good one for you.
Yo, how is this the first? How is this the first? It's crazy.
I think you've been like Kyle's go-to when I'm not here.
Yeah, true.
And just I don't know. But I'm happy you're here and you're wearing the one of 5 ASOTU,
Had to.
What kind of camo is that? That's called there's a special kind of camo. I'll think of it like after we get off this call, but it's just a brilliant piece of art right there.
I had to flex. I had to flex on everybody.
It's a flex.
There's only 4 others. I don't even know who are the other 4.
Patrick Abad's son has one, and
Nice.
he talks about it a lot. Matt Lasher has one.
Oh, good company so far.
I think I have one in my office, and then I think maybe Tom Gregg, the CEO of Van, has one. And these hats was when we did some crowdfunding to get the More Than Cars series off the ground. Like, this was it. Like, you're getting these. We're never making more, and you got one. So we're in it.
An NFT. Let's go.
Oh, I guess depends on which NFT. I guess. Remember those? Gosh. I rode that whole roller coaster. I bought some V Friends NFTs from Gary V, and at one point they were like worth so much money. So much. Like, you'd throw up if I told you how much they were worth. And I'm like, they're gonna even double again. I'm gonna pay for my kids' college. It's gonna be amazing. And then they went to like
every other text I would get. Dude, you're not in Gorilla Apes 10,000? Come on. I'm like, oh my gosh.
8 platypuses.
Yeah.
It's attached to real estate. It's very complicated, but the guy that told me about it really knows it, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, here we are. We're in our Thursday episode today. We did release a new episode of our In the Dirt podcast with Perry Watson III. If you don't know Perry Watson III, he is an OG. He's one of the partners in Marysville Toyota out in Seattle. They started an Open Point Toyota, focusing on the people, focusing on one price, and now they're, I think, 6 years in. And they've started to see the cycle flip a couple of times. Boy, does he think about how to cultivate the people side of the business and how that translates to business. So check it out. You can just search In the Dirt and put ASOTU on there. It'll get you there quicker. Or you could just follow our LinkedIn page, and that stuff's always going up on the LinkedIn page.
Amazing.
And all right, I think it's time for news. We talked about NFTs. What else is there to talk about?
Well, I just realized this is probably why we don't do it together, because I'm going to chat your brain off. And then
that's fantastic. This is probably the only podcast that's talking about NFTs today.
Yeah.
Which is wild. No, there's some NFT podcasts that's talking about it today. But, I'm speaking of a company who I'm surprised didn't release an NFT. Segue into the first story. That's how you know you're balling. So Tesla has reportedly lobbied the Canadian government for lower tariffs on Chinese-made electric vehicles before Canada announced their 100% duty on these vehicles and batteries. It comes as they're talking about an overabundance of Chinese imported EVs and decided to align with the U.S. to impose tariffs on these Chinese EVs starting on October 1st. So it's really soon. Tesla requested a lower tariff rate similar to the 9% rate imposed by the EU on its vehicles. They've basically been exporting their Model 3 vehicle and Model Y from Shanghai to Canada. Canadian EV imports from China are up 460% in 2023, driven largely by Tesla shipments. A government source noted Tesla's approach, but no comment has been made by the company as a result. So that's the Canadian tariffs. Wow.
I haven't been keeping up with this. We're doing the same thing, right? United States. The tariffs?
I should have been keeping up with this. I don't think we're doing tariffs on October 1st.
No,
I've heard a lot about this.
Thinking about.
They've been thinking about it. Shots across the bow, right? Like Trump said, he would definitely do 100% tariff. I don't know if that, actually made its way into any kind of execution. I think I've heard the 25%. Yeah, but Canada is just Tesla also. You think about it. They export a lot more vehicles from China to Canada. They don't really do that in the U.S. The U.S. vehicles are mostly made here.
Yeah, I'm just worried. I'm worried that the shots fired means how many Fords are we sending over to China, right?
It's going to go both ways.
100%. Yeah. Like all of a sudden, this is going to ratchet things up and we're going to have tariff wars.
It's one of those things like, who does it hurt more? Right. And I think that's the balance whenever you're like working on tariff wars, like who does it hurt more? Because if we stop, that's a great question. That's a great question, but I don't see it. I understand, like, we need to protect the economy. And when you're manipulating currency and you're flooding the market with cheap goods, right? We've seen this for years and years with all types of goods, right? And then the EV race is just the impact of the EV tariff or flooding the market with EV goods, batteries, vehicles is much more impactful on the economy than, I don't know, notebooks or whatever. We figured that part out. Not to mention, not a lot of people in the US making notebooks.
I imagine there's all these dealers that are like investigating right now some of these new EV Chinese brands that want to create franchises here.
Yep.
That are probably paying real close attention to this and the possible tariff war, right?
Hey, we got some info from the community. David Thomas says, we don't send any to China. They make Ford build them there.
Okay. There
you
go.
go. Value of
Question
community.
answered.
We have an answer. Yeah, well, we'll see how this develops. And obviously we're in this election year, and that will definitely influence how quickly I think the tariffs move on Chinese vehicles. And, depending on whichever way the election goes, will probably really affect the follow through on any threats. So I guess we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Speaking of having to see,
segue.
A lot of questions about Gen Z, what's going to happen with them. And a new survey from Enterprise Mobility reveals that Gen Z and Millennials are driving more than previous generations. They're driving more, challenging the notion that younger people are less interested in cars. Basically, Gen Z and Millennials report driving more now than they did 5 years ago. 73% of Americans still see privately owned vehicles as their top transportation choice over the next decade. While excited about autonomous vehicles, 72% of Gen Z respondents prefer being in control of the car. EV adoption also faces challenges, with 68% of Gen Z citing inadequate charging infrastructure as the major barrier, and basically showing most commuters are unaware of alternative transportation solutions like carpooling or van pooling. So, year up, not even like, probably feels like 5 years ago, the sky, the earth, the world was on fire with this threat that no one's going to own a car anymore. Kids don't want cars these days. And this is kind of slapping that right back into place.
Do you remember when people were like, oh, I think people just Uber to work? Like they'll just get an Uber subscription and just
efficiency. It's efficiency, right? We have to start thinking in cost per mile, not, you know what I mean? Like done, over.
Done. And I actually think this is another example. When COVID happened and everybody was like, oh, you got to do digital retailing because that's just going to be the way we do things. And then all of a sudden people were so starved on human to human contact. They wanted nothing more than to be in a store. I kind of think this is an example of when you get too much AI, you get too much tech, you get too much of whatever, you press that button too hard. It's whack-a-mole. The other button that pops up is, wait a second, right? Like as soon as the digital watch came out, everybody was like, you know what? These Rolexes and these mechanical watches are pretty sweet.
Let's see. And as soon as watch you've ever seen.
See, there we go. Proven point. And so
I think but tell the time.
Yeah. I think people just get a natural appreciation for, driving themselves.
Yeah.
As soon as autonomy starts becoming a thing.
Look, people in this country in general want their independence. They want to be able to express themselves. They want to be able to be in control of things. Now, maybe if you're in a major metro, right, that changes just because the inconvenience and expense of owning a car just quickly outweighs what it would take to actually not have a car and just get around. But once you're outside a major metro, I think people want the freedom. COVID obviously knocked everybody back into like, you know what, my personal space isn't such a bad thing. You know what I mean? So like that even put like the car sharing and all that even on notice. But I think you said it right. It gets back to the point that people will always migrate back to human connection. And like these things that we just talked about show it. Also, the metaverse. Oh my gosh, we have a metaverse. You can be anywhere you want to be. Put the headset on. You can visit a national park in the metaverse. You know what? Really quickly, like the movie Ready Player One made sense of it. But when it comes down to it, I think people just don't want that. Here's a comment from Doug. He says, Gen Z are even more interested in creative direct mail these days because they didn't grow up getting personal, tangible mail. That is an amazing point.
Oh,
think about it. Like kids just don't get mail.
I believe it. I've been on a whole, I think traditional great. Needs to come back a bit. There's also, to that guy's point, I missed your name, the effort.
Doug Klassen,
the effort put in. You know how many messages you get on your text message? You're like, this is just a robot sending you something. This is automated.
It's nothing. It's empty calories. Right.
It is. Yeah. It's not, make me some foie gras. Send me maybe even sign the bottom of the postcard. Oh man, this person actually took human time.
Creative direct mail. Well, think about it. Direct mail, take it a step further. Everyone talks about the word experiential, right? Oh, people want an experience. Opening a piece of mail is an experience. Opening a text message is not, right? Oh. It's just bleh. Oh man, solving the world's problems. Gen Z.
Let's go.
Look, see, Daniel Abel saying my kids loving getting mail or packages. Shoot, you know what? Can you imagine like just having a campaign, sending everyone who is 16 in your DMA or 17, whatever that year is, they're about to start driving, but aren't yet.
Yeah.
Send them something cool. Like
get that Amazon logo on there and everybody will just open.
Boom. Right. That's right. They totally will. What did I get?
Yeah.
Oh, well, speaking of the opposite of surprise and delight, let's talk about disappointment. What a way to end the show. After Mammoth Cave National Park was listed as the third most disappointing U.S. tourist attraction in an online study, they flipped the script on the bad reviews, embracing its reputation as disappointing with a viral tongue-in-cheek social media post. The post basically reads, come experience what has disappointed millions for over 225 years. Visit our website and choose from our many activities that will leave you unfulfilled. You can be disappointed by a, quote, dry hole with very few stalagmites or stalactites, or discover nothing other than trees on an over 80 plus miles of trails. A world of regret awaits you at Mammoth Cave. Basically, the park was established in 1941 as the world's longest cave system, despite negative reviews. They do have a 4.7 rating on Google.
That's amazing. Okay, so I actually think this is so good because there are so many things that you can lean into that, that as long as no one else is leaning into it, it becomes great marketing. It becomes great advertising.
Breaks the noise.
And it breaks the noise. Yeah, exactly.
Well, marketers ruin everything, right? Like this is a great play. And this is just an example, in the auto industry, a lot of times, dealers, clients, they will struggle with like, how do we make something fresh and interesting? The bottom line is there is always an interesting way to spin something. Always, always, always. And that's why in this world where, I don't know, like content, ad content, social media content, even AI generation is going to start making things look better, faster. The creative strategy behind all of this stuff is really going to be the differentiator between who can succeed and who can't succeed, right? This post is just words. It's just words, totally. Right? Yeah. But they found a way to be fun with it, to connect, to tie it back to the value proposition, and to really put it in your, to put it in your head. You were like, you know what? It's kind of fun. Let's go see the most boring one. And I bet once you get there, I bet it over delivers 100%.
Or it's just going to create so much social media of like, this, just a bunch of people being bored. I mean, there's like a viral.
Imagine a million posts for like most disappointing trip ever, right?
Yeah.
Hey, Mammoth Cave National Park was never on my list until this moment when we read this story. So what are you going to say about that? I know it. Well, Ben, I think our first show together was a winner. It definitely started my day off right. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for wearing the hat. Thanks for being part of the positive motion of this industry. Go out there, love some people, sell some cars. We'll see you tomorrow.
LFG.